Do better. Do good. Do big. Do small. Do it wrong. Do it again. Do it ourselves. Do it together. Do what no one else has done. Do what will become big. Do the same. Do different. Do everything. Do something. Do new.
Good morning, I think it is. It's 11, considers morning. Good morning and welcome to a webinar from Linköping University. Today we are going to learn a bit more about Science for Sustainable Development, which is one of our 2-year master's programs. I'm here with my two guests, Seppa and Joshua. I will let them introduce themselves in a minute. But first I want to go through a few housekeeping things. This webinar is being recorded, so you can view it at a later date on our program homepage or our webinars page. Please put your questions in the Q&A section. We'll be going to that one to answer your questions later. There's also a chat function that you can use to say hi to each other and where you're from. If you're watching this recording, you can actually ask questions in the Q&A as well, and they will be forwarded to us here at the university. This conversation will be about 20 to 30 minutes. You're going to learn a bit more about the program structure, what it's like to be a student, and then we're going to cut the recording. So if you're watching this recorded version, it will only be about 20 to 30 minutes. And then we will open up for questions for those of you who are viewing this live with us. My name is Therese. I'm a communications officer at the university, and I'll be your moderator. I'm going to let my guests introduce themselves. Would you like to?
Sure. I'm Seppa Yektas. I'm the program coordinator for Masters in Science for Sustainable Development.
Thank you.
Yeah, Joshua Joseph Idiong from Nigeria, and the second-year master students in the Science for Sustainable Development program.
Thank you, thank you. It'll be really good to hear both of your perspectives. I think you will learn a lot from hearing from both of them. Let's start with talking a bit about the program. Why do we offer this program?
Sure. So our program this addresses sustainability solutions and the solutions that are needed for future social development, and also solutions for tackling today's and future environmental and sustainable development challenges. And as these solutions or the challenges that we are dealing with when it comes to sustainable development, they are very much characterized as multidisciplinary and multidimensional. So meaning that if we want to tackle those challenges, then we need to deal with them in interdisciplinary by interdisciplinary approaches, by bringing in different competences and different disciplines all together to deal with those problems.
Why did you choose this program, and which discipline do you come from?
Yeah, so I have a background in environmental technology. Yeah, but while I was still studying, I started my business. I run a processing company where I work with smallholder farmers to help them increase their productivity. But then I faced some sort of challenges because I had a knowledge of environmental issues. But then in my business, I was struggling to balance sustainability and profitability. So because there was a concern about people wanting to buy what is affordable, and what is affordable was not necessarily kind of sustainable. So I wanted to understand, is there a way I could run a business sustainably at the same time still mark up with profit? So I thought about a career in sustainability consulting, not just to help my business, but to help other businesses. And that's why I applied for the program, to broaden my knowledge and understand how I can apply these in businesses in particular.
I think that's extremely valuable and kind of topic. I mean, there's so many things in the world at the moment that are, there's this discussion of, are we really paying what the product is worth, or what the real cost is? Yeah. So I think that's a really good perspective. Did you the aim of the program then is to bring these multidisciplinary kind of subject areas into one, or
So
how?
I think Joshua made a good point. So in order to educate and train sustainability experts, so we need a specific academic settings where different disciplines meet each other in that setting, and that's what our program will do. And our program is offered by the Department of Thematic Studies at Linköping University, which actually has a long history of interdisciplinary research. It goes back to 1980 that these types of that problem-based tackling challenges by combining competences and disciplines has been a tradition in our program.
So you would have, for example, engineers working with social scientists or urban planning, and for example, to achieve a common goal.
Exactly, and that's the way the whole institution's structure looks like. So we have researchers which are also teachers of the program with different backgrounds, different disciplinary background, but also those that are trained in interdisciplinary environment.
Is this new to you? This kind of working in an interdisciplinary setting?
Yeah, I think sort of it was kind of new to me, and I wanted to experience it, and that was like because I spent a lot of time like on the website to quite understand the program, and I saw that I'm someone that I like to learn new things. So I felt not just learning from the curriculum, the caliber of students that are going to be there with their experiences, I would need that perspective, because working as a sustainability consultant, you work with different businesses, different industries, and so this program would give me a touch into what the mining industry could look like without even mining, because I work with a student coming from that background, and that was what was very valuable for me in the course of this program.
Thank you. So, I mean, I think this is very beneficial. I mean, the benefits to society. How does this program kind of contribute to that?
So first of all, so the contribution in the form of educating sustainability experts, which will then enter the society, but also even the training itself is the education itself is for which is problem oriented and socially relevant in the topics that are brought up in the program. So meaning that the actual social challenges are worked through in the program by the students, and also we have teachers that working in the or the teaching in the program. So they are working with the state-of-the-art research in the field of sustainable development, which that will then come into the education. So while we are dealing with current and future social challenges, so that will actually, the process is also included in the education. So not only addressing issues, but we're also training sustainability expert, and that would be the contribution to the society.
And you gave me quite a good kind of introduction to the slide that I'd like to share. This, you were talking about the courses are actually contributing, and they're contributing to this aim of not only creating a better world right now, but the process of looking to the future. So the program is 4 semesters. First semester and second semester. The first year you've done them in kind of bluish grey. Are they mandatory, all those courses?
That's correct. So the first and the second semester, there we have what we call the core courses in the program, and those are mandatory courses for all the students who study our program. And they have there's a certain logic in their order. Simply is that the students which comes with different backgrounds, academic backgrounds, so they are introduced to the field of sustainable development as an analytical or scientific topic. And that will mainly be the goal of the first course in the program, to introduce this topic academically, sustainable development academically, to students that have diverse academic background, and there we take it from there, and we then focus on for different important issues that are kind of our main challenges of the today's society. Examples are using resources, how we can use resources sustainably. So about environmental changes, so how our environment generally changes, and then how the environmental issues, the policies, can be steered and can be governed. So then we have the course in, for example, environmental politics and governance. Then we move on addressing one of these environmental issues, or which is our social challenges, which is the climate change problem. So we will have a course where we'll look into climate science, but and processes and dynamics, biogeochemistry behind the climate changes. And thereafter, we will talk about about the transformation. So we need in our society, we need to go through a transformation from this from the today's practices to more sustainable practice in the future. So how this transition would like. And then we will address management of the resources. What is the sustainable resource management? And the last course that we call it Designing Environmental Studies, that will focus on then giving students tools and on how you can then approach the environmental sustainable development questions for example, designing project and for doing research in the topic.
Okay. What was your experience of the first year? Because now you're in your third semester, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you started. I mean, were you familiar with these subject areas, or did you find that these first two courses were really, set the ground for you? Or
Yeah, I think sort of a bit familiar, but not really with the what I said, the learning method. I wasn't familiar with the learning method because coming from Nigeria, learning method was actually quite a bit different. But I felt it actually prepared me for what was ahead. Like the first course talking about critical perspective, it made us to not just look at things from the surface, but trying to question, and which I think is one of the things that has to do with you need it for research, and you need it even to develop sustainable solutions, because you need to question if there is a product you want to push out, you're going to ask some certain questions. What would be the future requirement for the raw materials? What could be the possible effects it might have on the environment? What would be the effect on customers? I think these are different. Using this critical perspective was setting the pitch going forward. I also think like other programs that had to do with our changing planets and trying to see how we can use GIS tools to kind of make some measurement and analyze presence of like carbon storage in different areas. So those tools are tools that we can use in the future, both in a place of work and also in research if you want to further in academia. So I felt the first year was preparing us for going forward, which is part of like the research work and also the internship that you might want to face later on in the course of the program.
Okay. Did you have a favorite course
Did I
in your
have
first year? A favorite course? Was there
Oh.
one that particularly you were like, I really enjoyed this?
Yeah, in my first year, one of my favorite course was the transformation, like societal transformation, right? Because in that course, I was able to. So we had an option of picking case studies from the internet, but also had an option of designing your own case study. So I was able to link what I studied with solution back in Nigeria related to my business. Designed a case study which I worked on and how I can approach that, because I wanted something concrete that even after my program, I could still implement what I did as part of my coursework, right? So it was interesting for me, and that was one of my favorite courses because it looked at sustainability in three different perspectives. So the political sphere, the personal sphere, and the practical sphere. But most times, if you look at like you have in COP27, a lot of conversation is going to be about the practical sphere. What are we measuring? How are we keeping data? But then are we looking at how does it affect culture? How does it affect personal lifestyle? Because you're saying change this, but if their lifestyle, they have built a lifestyle based on culture that we need to eat meat, then you can't just put them to eat plant. Yeah, so we need to look at sustainability also on this personal perspective, which was very important for me during that course.
I think that sounds really useful, because I agree with that. Getting people on board, and you do that by understanding the culture.
Yeah.
Sounds like a really good course. And now you're in your third semester. So if we look at the third semester courses on the screen. So, and this is a lot more research skills oriented.
I would say the third semester is electable courses. So
Mhm.
what we would encourage our students simply to do, that they try to think which types of profile based on the information that they get in the during the education, but also based on their experiences and academic background, which types of profile they would like to build up, which they think is useful for their future career. And third semester is mainly designed in a way that gives the possibility to the to students to customize those profiles. So the courses that you're here, so for example, research skills that you see, this is a kind of small project courses that you could choose the topic together with the supervisor, work on a topic, and work on a kind of shorter version of a bigger project, or for specific research questions, a specific project. You could also use it to learn new skills. So as you mentioned, so I would like to learn more about the GIS. So then you could take these courses and just focusing on learning hard skills about how to deal with the GIS, how to deal with the data, and the list goes on. So that will simply depends on what the students choose. But also, as our students have the possibility to take courses from in other universities as well. And meaning that if some students come to me and say, "Oh, I found a very nice course in a specific topic in another university. I think it's relevant," then the student gets the possibility to study that and then include that credits into the program.
Does it have to be pre-approved universities or one of our exchange?
The only requirement is that we have a dialogue, so we make sure that the course is relevant to the education. So the requirement is that we kind of need to have this dialogue to kind of make sure that the course is relevant to the education and can be then included in the program. There's also another possibility in the third semester at the students can do a study abroad. So we have a couple of students that do exchange for the whole semester in another university in another country. And we also have, as you see, some defined courses that we offer, like visualizing environmental sustainability challenges or sustainability in urban renewal. So there are also the specific courses, classroom courses that we offer. And not the least, so we have the possibility that the students do internship, as what Joshua, for example, is involved in right now. And the internship can be a whole semester, as is reflected by the internship, which gives 30 credits, or it can be a shorter internship, which is half a semester. Yeah.
And what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing an internship, but I think I was able to explore the different options, and I think I really commend the program for that, because I started by applying to looking at the possibility of doing a coursework in Copenhagen Business School, and I reached out to them, and they discovered, oh, I had to pay like a tuition to do that. So I tried another option, which was looking at how to do research skills, and I reached out to one of my and then we had a conversation around that possibility. But at the same time, my major interest, based on like what I said, based on my profile, my future profile, being a sustainability consultant, was more about getting an internship, right? And though it was kind of a tough search for me in Sweden, since I don't speak Swedish yet, though learning. But then I was able to get an internship through to LinkedIn, and now I'm doing my internship with Inclusive Business Sweden in Gothenburg, and I work with them with so a very interesting internship actually, because we're designing, like trying to ensure a sustainability assurance system for jute farmers in Bangladesh. And as a cause of that internship, I'll also be traveling to Bangladesh to work with those farmers and get data and see how would I say, the current sustainability assurance system can be adopted to smallholder farmers in a way that because companies now are being, like in Europe and all that, we have the new standards that have been set in place in the EU for measuring impact, would require companies to show that, oh, there is some sort of ESG, the social compliance, human rights are being taken care of, even at the bottom of the value chain. And that's why this project is very important. And so far, it's been an interesting internship journey.
And do you stay in Gothenburg then, or do you?
Yeah, I work virtually. Yeah, but then I'll be traveling also for the Inclusive Business Forum, which is next week. In Gothenburg. So, but most of the time I work virtually from Linköping.
Okay. Oh, it's really good that you have the opportunity. How many students take the opportunity to do an internship? I mean, on average, percentage-wise.
So it varies year by year, I would say. But I would say this year, if we put the internship and research skills, it's more than 50 to 60% of the students that enrolled kind of decided to do these courses. But we also have students that has traveled abroad. So it will again varies depending year by year, depending on what the students would like to do.
There's a bit of a mix, but the opportunities there. And then we have the fourth semester. I don't think we need the slide for that, because there is just one option really. So that's the project, the master's thesis, which is the entire semester.
That's correct. So the master thesis course that will have a duration of a whole semester, around 6 months, where it starts in January until June, where the students will work with their thesis project, and there they have individual supervisors, and the thesis topics as well can vary a lot depending on the topic that the students choose. But it's also very common that the students become involved, for example, in ongoing research projects that at the department, at the Linköping University or other universities as the part of their thesis, or they become involved in projects that are offered by some companies or by other organizations.
And is it then beneficial to have done an internship and to be able to do your?
So what we actually try to encourage our students is that when I will actually introduce the master thesis course at the second term, to kind of encourage students that when you decide your electable courses, you can think of your thesis project. Would you like to have those courses as a way to build up your skills and competence to carry out a specific research or gain knowledge about the specific methods that you could then use for your master thesis? So this becomes a process, so that the students start to think about learning and performing the project as a process, which actually starts quite early after the second semester, this process of thinking. But the course by itself practically starts at the fall. Exactly.
So what about your thesis? Have you got a plan in your head? I mean, how far have you got in your thinking?
For my thesis, I think I have like weighing two options now currently. I've applied to quite some few companies that are offering some internship program via LinkedIn also, and also through Graduate Land. Try to look for some companies and apply to them. But then as my own second option, looking at, like, I work in the palm oil value chain, and there is currently in the EU, I think that was like a few months ago, they passed the deforestation-free law against certain products, which palm oil is one of them. And one of the ways to solve that problem, especially for smaller farmers who don't have the capacity, like bigger companies, is to explore how we can use blockchain to ensure traceability in the value chain, to show what is being done on the ground, and so that the buyers can actually be assured that, oh, this product is deforestation free. So it's an option I'm looking at to explore if I don't get an internship with a company during the course of my master's program.
Okay, sounds really interesting, and I mean very, topical and current, and definitely, it's not just hypothetical. I think what you do. I'd like to learn a bit more about your experience of being a student here. How has it been? You mentioned before that it was very different from Nigeria.
Yeah.
I mean, how has it been different, and how has that been?
Yeah, I think I was exposed to research, let's put it that way, and though quite interested, I had to read a lot of articles, lots and lots of articles. I'd spent like the past 7 years reading personal development books, leadership books, business books, and then switching back to read topical issues in sustainability, has to do with climate and all that, was quite a big shift for me. And then you had, because weekly we had to, like, for the first few courses, we had to send in our reflection papers, which is actually very helpful because it helps you to look in depth into the issue and try to bring in your own perspective and thoughts. But then it made you read a lot of articles because you can't write this reflection paper without reading the articles.
Yeah.
So it was a way of getting me to read those articles, which was quite interesting. Also, I can remember one of our lecturers saying that the program is more like a 40 hours full-time job. So it's required that you need to put in quite a lot of time. But I think beyond the coursework, personally, I think I've even explored a lot of options in my student life. So the proximity to Lynn Shopping Science Park was actually quite interesting. Now I sit on the board as a student board member of Lynn Shopping Science Park. Quite interesting, and work closely with companies. So there's this close opportunity to engage with companies. Being in Lynn Shopping, I've also explored kind of starting a business in Sweden, and I had an engagement with Lynn Shopping Innovation, LIU Innovation. Also quite interesting to have, like, to prepare some pitch deck during that phase. Although I stopped due to the level of my coursework, a lot of things I had to bridge that a bit, but I was also able to experience that. Also, I've been able to work part-time with Unitalent, which is also linked to the university, as a student consultant on several projects. Working projects has to do with apples, and then I've also worked part-time. First time, I like to explore different things.
How do you have time? You must be very, very structured.
Yeah, I because I know I have just 2 years for the master's program. I have to maximize the opportunity. I have to meet people, right? So the second one was with I think called Collective at KK. Is more like the student union kind of restaurant or something. Yeah. And so working there, you have to experience the student life, because without even going, but you see it happening like on Wednesdays evening and all that, which is also quite interesting. And then everything is kind of close to the students. Like we have M Shop close to Reed Tally, where most students live. So it makes it quite convenient. So I think it's been interesting living here, and I enjoy the student life.
Do you live in a student corridor?
Yes, I live in a student corridor.
So
Yeah.
the student corridor is basically it's a corridor with 8 rooms coming off it. So you have 8 students living together with a common kitchen and living area, but you have your own bedroom and your own bathroom.
Yeah.
So you have your own reasonably sized space, but
Sure.
so you can be sociable, but also, you know, be on your own.
Yeah, and meet people who are quite interesting.
Okay, so the course itself, has it been different in the sense that what I hear from a lot of people is, you know, the group work part. That is that a feature of this program as well? That there's a lot of work that you do with, so you kind of you're assessed individually, but as a, you know, the work that you performed is as a team.
Yeah. I think that happens quite a lot, and so it helps you build like your emotional intelligence, because you need to work with people a lot as a team, and the other person's performance is also important to you because you want to pass the course, and you're graded as a team. So you want to put in your best, at the same time you want to encourage the other person to put in his or her best. And I think it's a very crucial skill for even the workplace, where a lot of employers are looking at what is your ability to work with a team. And we have that in different courses, and then it has a lot of presentations where we need to do a presentation to as a team. I remember a course we had to do like more like we had to choose a particular segment of people to present to, and we choose like primary school children. We had to come up with a story and then act out the story. It was interesting working as a team on that, changing ideas, and then still trying to work towards a common goal, which was actually very, very interesting. So and also I think study visits was also something that was also very interesting during the course, where we had to visit I think it's the biggest biogas plant in Sweden. Tekniska. And we learned a lot about the processes and the value they had into Sweden and the world as a whole, and that was also very interesting value during the course.
So
of the program.
it's a completely packed program. And I'm kind of hearing, so you need to be structured and ambitious, and I think you're very ambitious. But with all the reading and writing, there's a lot of, you need a good level of English as well. I mean, even if you do match the 6.5 IELTS or 90 TOEFL, you still need to be comfortable reading a lot in English. What else would you say is the kind of necessary skills to have to be on this program?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, good English skills is very, very, very important. And then I think research skills, which you can learn in the program, and the university also offers that guidance where you can reach out to counselors to learn how to build your research skills. Also very important, because there is zero room for plagiarism, right? And you have to be sure that you're citing these articles rightly, and you make that there are things I didn't take note of, like was in terms of how you extract maybe a picture from a particular research, and you want to do that. Is either you add something to it or you change it, unless you need to maybe write to the person for permission before you can use that sort of information. Was also something I got to know as part of the program. So these are certain skills but I think to encourage you all out there is that these are skills that are learnable. You can learn them, right? You can prepare yourself in the course of the program. And apart from the skills, I think a very good personal computer is also very important, even if you can access computers in university, but because a lot of your work is going to do with writing, saving, uploading documents. And that is one thing I think it's very important and valuable.
Would you have anything to add?
I think Joshua covered it all, I would say, but I can just almost say in the same direction. So the program is what we call, is very much student centered, and we have the active learning model for the education. So, and that means that then it's demanding. It requires reading, participation, group work, and then motivation, and time management, and those parts are very important. And those are the skills that we are trying to even work with in parallel with the ordinary curriculum of the courses. So we will, for example, we have a series of seminars that we call portfolio, where we specifically address those skills that are important for managing the courses: time management, self-reflections, and documentation, and those type of working with CV, thinking about how to define
it really
profiles.
Sets you up for the future in that sense.
Exactly, and that's the type of sessions that we start in the beginning of the program, and that actually follows with all courses throughout the program to kind of build up and more reflect, and then look back what you were thinking last year. So how my skills look like now.
A lot of reflection. And I think it's important to mention that even though you did manage to do all this and all the extracurricular and work part-time, most students tend to focus on the program full-time, and it's something that we advise against is coming here and thinking, well, I can work my way through college. It's not, you should, if you do find a job and you do have time, I mean, good for you, but it shouldn't be something that you have to rely on. I think I need to mention that.
I think that's a very important point. I think what Joshua mentions as well. So there are mainly student activities that are kind of connected to sort of work as well. So those types of things you mentioned, but if you are thinking that you could, in parallel with the study, you can do like full-time or half-time job, I don't advise that neither, because the program requires full-time attention.
And then you also need to sleep. And hopefully have a bit of fun. And have a bit of fun every now and then too. We're actually going to go into the questions, because I think we've spoken for over half an hour. But before we do, I'm just going to say goodbye to those who are actually watching this recording, because we do switch off. but a quick overview of where you can get hold of us. Have a look at our Instagram page. Linköping University is run by our students, so you get a really good insight into what life is like once you're here, both academic and student life. Same thing with the international program students at LIU blog. They give you really good tips on well, not just being here and being a student and living here, but the journey here, applying, accommodation. Is a really good place to have a look, to kind of get ahead of the game in a way, to be prepared. Also say, when you get an email from us, you can hit reply to that email. That's a really good way of getting a quick answer from us. Otherwise, have a look at the program page and the contact us option there. It's the same as hitting reply. It goes to the same place, but that's the quickest way to get a response from us. And you can also pop your question in the Q&A box, which I think is below us. So to those of you who watched the recording, thank you very much for your time, and goodbye. And now for the questions, for those of you who are still with us. Luke, have we got any questions?
Yes, we do. We have indeed already received quite a lot of questions, so we're going to dive in. So for the live audience, we will, of course, be able to answer them now live, so take advantage. For people that watch the recording, by the way, through our platform, you can still write your questions as well. We cannot answer them now live, but we can send them through to the staff of Linköping University. So anyway, let's go and start with the questions we received so far. Let me see. We have a question from Samarawira, if I said it right, who has a bachelor in agriculture, 4-year special honors. Is he eligible for the program?
I should first, before I answer directly, so I should highlight that all the applications will be evaluated in this entirety by the admission office at Linköping, Linköping University. So that process needs to be simply done by the admission office in order to get a direct yes or no answer, simply. But if you look at the requirement for the program, so it is said that you need to have a bachelor degree in natural science, social science, humanity, or engineering, and you need to have around 50 credits of courses related to the environmental science or sustainable development or equivalent. And so generally, for example, I can imagine the background in the bachelor in the agriculture falls within this framework. But then for more specific evaluation, the whole application needs to be sent to the admission. But I highly encourage that you apply.
Yeah, and the deadline is 16th of January, and then the documentation has to be sent through by the 1st of February, and then the results will be announced end of March. So there is a wait, and we can't pre-assess anything. But if you do have the right courses within your program, so how many credits in environmental?
15.
15. So that's what we would call half a semester.
Yes.
Yeah. So you make sure you have that, and if it's any way unclear on your transcript, attach your syllabus as well to make it easier for us. Right?
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. I think that already answered a couple of questions there. So popping up, so great, thank you. Katarina has a follow-up question, and well, she was asking still about the fee of the study and how to apply. Now, I can tell you that I just shared the link to the program overview and the application process in the chat. I will pop it up on the screen now as well. But maybe in the meantime, can tell you a little bit more about the fees and the application process, if there's anything to add.
The application process is that you go to universityadmissions.se and you find the program, or you go to the program homepage on our homepage, liu.se, and on the, I believe it's the right-hand side, you'll find a apply now button, or in the middle, and that will take you to universityadmissions.se. You have to create an account. We do have a step-by-step guide on our website that you can see how you do it. But you create an account and you can choose up to 4 different programs, either at the same university or different universities in Sweden. So it's a national and central application service. So you go to this site, you upload everything there, have a look at the country-specific information, because there's different rules for different countries. For example, if your bachelor's degree was from the United States, that has to be sent through in a sealed envelope by the university, for example. Whereas other countries, it's enough to upload a copy of your diploma and transcript. You need to upload a copy of your passport. Non-EU students unfortunately have to pay a fee, both application fee and tuition fee. But if you are not an EU student, you'll be exempt, as the Swedish students are, so it's the same for EU students. But you have to upload a copy of your passport to prove this, because otherwise we won't know. You do this, you do the online application by the 16th of January, and then all these documentation you can upload by the 1st of February. Also prove your English, and this is where it's important to look at your transcript or the country-specific information. I mean, because Nigeria, you would have been exempt from an English test, because the bachelor was taught in English. So, and even your secondary school was in English, isn't it? Exactly. So you can either be exempt due to secondary school or bachelor, but have a look at what it says specifically for your country. 1st of February, and then you'll get a result end of March. And then the window opens for our scholarships, to apply for our scholarships. They are tuition fee waivers. Between 25 and 75% of the tuition is the actual scholarship, and they're awarded, and you can only apply for them once you've been admitted. So only students who are admitted can apply. And the other thing that's important is when you do apply at universityadmissions.sc, when you apply for these 4 programs, if you choose to apply for 4 programs, you have to rank them. And if you want to apply for a scholarship for this program, you have to rank that program as your number 1. But there's lots of information on university admissions about this. Also, you can't apply for 4 programs and then be admitted to all of them, because if you're admitted to the first one, the other 3 are deleted. If you're admitted to the second, the other 2, and so forth. So there are a few details to bear in mind. And then the other question was tuition fee, and I believe it's about 10,000 euros per year.
Yeah,
So
that information is also, I think, available.
It's available, exactly.
But it's around that.
But it's around 10,000 euros per year for 2 years, so about 20,000 euros. And I should mention scholarship. The Swedish Institute has a really good scholarship, which covers tuition fee and cost of living. And this it's only students from certain countries are eligible. So make sure that you fit the criteria. But that is a good scholarship, and I think they open in February.
February from 10th.
Yeah. And it's called Young SI Global.
Yeah, the Swedish Institute Scholarship for Global Professionals.
So that was a really long answer to your question, but I hope that
it did answer more questions I already saw. So scholarships, for example, I've pasted the link on the screen, as you probably saw. You can click on that and at your own pace after the webinar, have a look. So that hopefully helps a lot of the people who are wondering about that. And yes, I think you already answered a lot. There was another question, maybe in terms of the documents. Amira was wondering, I have the documents in French. Do we need to get them all translated to English?
I think so. I think we used to take German and French, and I don't think we do anymore. I think it has to be in English or one of the Scandinavian languages, as in Swedish, Danish, Norwegian. Have a look. Have a proper look at under the pages for France. It will say whether you need to or not. But I'm almost certain that you do need to translate them into English.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Al-Katarini, if I say that right, is asking, is it only offered in campus, or is it also possible to do maybe even part distance by learning?
So the program is on-campus program. So when means that simply presence and enrollment physically is expected. So there we might use some digital elements within the courses, but that is mainly because for that certain session or element, we find that digital way has a more is more effective or better from the pedagogical point of view. But short answer, this is an on-campus program.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. That clarifies. Yvette is asking, will you help with finding an internship?
You found your own, didn't you?
Yeah, I found it.
You found your own. But
So the process of finding internship is that, in principle, students are responsible for looking for and finding the internship. But the way we support the process is that we have, for example, suggestions based on students' experience from previous years, but also based on the organizations or companies that are contacting us directly. So we will give, for example, a list of these are the possible places that you could approach, and if we some once in a while we receive also information from certain organization that we are looking for the students for the internship, and we then share that information with the students.
And then the thesis is can be done almost as it won't be an internship, but if you choose to do it with the company, you might be based at the company, or
there is some certain rules that we have. We have students who work in different companies for their thesis. So we make sure the most important things that each students will have an academic supervisor at the university, at the institute, and they can work in a company while they have their academic supervisor, and they can also have supervisors in the company or external company or organizations. So there is a possibility to do thesis in other organizations, companies, but that will be in close collaboration with the academic supervisor at the university.
So more so than the actual internship.
Internship is mainly you have the external supervisor, but you have for the internship you have a responsible teacher, which keeps the contact and makes sure that the course requirements are met.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. There's still some unclarity for some people about the requirements for their background. Maybe just to restate that. So there's people asking if it's okay with the background in geography. I saw as well water management and another person in forestry. Can you say if they're eligible, or is that something they have to look at more personally?
So I will, as I said, I cannot directly and personally answer that because that's the admission unit. But simple answer: do you have bachelor in natural science, social science, humanity, and engineering? Which is quite broad.
Thinking what's left.
Exactly, nothing's left. So that's the main requirement. So, for example, geology falls within this category. And then when it comes to the courses within the environmental science, so then you could imagine that many of the courses which deals with the food, deals with the water, deals with the resources, deals with the environmental aspects are related directly or indirectly to the environmental science. So that 15 credit that we are talking about, that entails quite a broad categories of courses that are related to environmental challenges. Forestry, or agriculture we talked about. So all of those can be kind of categorized. And that's the judgment that the admission unit will do. And in communication with us at the department to make sure that if there is any uncertainties, that will be solved through communication.
And 15 credits is roughly half a semester, so about 10 weeks worth of studying.
Yes.
How many students are on the program? How many students?
This year we have now 25 students at the program. That's yep,
That's yeah. Okay, thanks.
and that's the
All right.
usual.
Let me.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that ties in nicely with the next question from Tara, because Tara is asking, could you tell me how many students are accepted for the specific course and approximate number of applicants? Well, what can you say about that?
Well, that will also vary year to year, and it can be affected by things that happening around us as well. But as I told, so we usually have between 22 to 25, 26 students. We mainly varies in this span, and then so some year we have 30 students, but that was usually an outlier. I would say between these levels, and then the total number of applicants also varies from 2, 3, 400 again year to year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. I hope that answered the question from Tara. Fatima is asking, are there any age requirements or limits to study?
No.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
There is no
Nope.
no. All the requirements are related to the academic background, which has been specified. No other things.
Yeah. But having said that, so even though you could be 75, the most students are between around 25 or 30 or
I mean, we have students who, for example, have work experience and then decided to come. So then those are in a yeah, we have those groups, and we have students that come directly from bachelor. So we have this span of students when it comes to age. So again, that is not something that is considered at all.
No.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's useful. Sandra is asking, I think you already mentioned it, but can we work part-time when studying? Do you want to add something to that?
Well, legally, you're allowed to. But it is difficult. We spoke about it. It is difficult because, if you do a reflection submission every week, did you say?
Yeah.
You do need to read a lot. And I think especially when you get here, and a lot of students have had a break from academics or are not native English speakers, it takes longer than you think to get your head into these academic texts again when you've read leadership books and so be prepared for the fact that it is hard work, and even though that will get easier, other challenges will arise. So we kind of advise against it. Having said that, some students do a few hours here and there, but again, it's not easy to find if you don't speak Swedish. But
maybe it's something you can do, like what I think Unit Talent. I basically work from home, so because I could do it during the weekend, just because it's more like research, trying to do market research, find data online. So those are kind of stuff you can do from home and doesn't really take you far away from your student work, right? So I think that's the kind of thing you might look, but working like where you need to go down to an office to work and all that, you might not really find that and manage that during the course of your program.
Yeah. So that's the kind of longish answer to, can we work part-time? No. Yes, but we'd prefer if you did. That's the short.
That's the short version. All right. Thank you very much. A follow-up question from Tara regarding the entry requirements. Are the merits the most important factor? And also, what other documents like motivation letter or research ideas do we need to submit?
So I think my advice will be to look into the instruction for the admission process, which is clearly kind of stated what is needed, and nothing in addition to that will be needed. Simply, for example, writing an idea about the research or those are not considered for the evaluation.
No, you don't need CV, you don't need letters of recommendation, you don't need a letter of motivation. It is basically your diploma, your transcript, and possibly your syllabus. And you look at merit. I mean, how many people are there a lot of people who end up on the wait list, for example?
I would say when it comes to the ranking, so it will also depend on how many students will apply. and how many will be admitted. And based on that, we make a decision that ranking possibility. But it varies again from year to year.
But we're thinking these. So if we have 400 applicants, not all of them will be eligible. So they will kind of be taken off the application list. So I think it sounds sometimes like we have 25 places and there's 400 applying, but a lot of those won't have won't meet the basic requirements.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So that number will decrease quite a lot after this when admission unit looks into
When
the
they go through it,
applications and go through it.
So as long as you definitely meet all the requirements and you have the specific requirements and you have a good degree, your chances, it shouldn't be too bad. Am I right?
Okay.
Yes, and I also highlight that 15 credits that we talked about, so that entails quite a broad category when we talk about sustainable development and environmental science.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting the thumbs up, so I guess we answered that one. Good. Liz had a follow-up question on the age. What is the average age of the students?
So we addressed that a little bit, but I would say if you look at this year, so the majority of our students are coming directly from the bachelor, their bachelor studies, and then we have a group of students who have work experience, have had work experience for maybe 4 or 5 years, and they came back to complete their education. So then you can imagine between, if I give the minimum and maximum, you can imagine between like 21, 22 to 35, 36.
So basically 20s and early 30s, early to mid 30s.
Yeah, and that may vary year to year. We have,
but not old people like me. No, not on this program. But I could do it, and it's we welcome older students. So, but on average, if you take an average on that, is late 20s. Yeah.
So we welcome all ages.
All ages, yes.
Oh, good. Great to hear. Well, thank you very much. Hope that answered your question, Liz. A question from Tara: is it possible to enroll for the fall semester of 2023 next year, if we're obtaining the bachelor degree at the end of March?
It is. You just have to have a look at the instructions, but you basically have something from the university that says that you're on course to graduate. And if you are admitted in March, you will be conditionally admitted on condition that you do pass and that you can show us that when you arrive here. So if you're on your last semester, yes, you can apply. Have a look exactly what you need, what documentation you need to provide.
Okay. A question from Amma. Do students have to choose their own research topic, or are there any topics available that students can choose from?
So at the priority goes to a student's chosen topic. If our students are interested to work with certain topic, that then we try to provide the possibility for that. But then if our students may come to us and say, what are the topics you suggest, based on, for example, research that we are doing, based on the collaborations that we have with the external actor, then we can say, okay, these are the possible topics that you could do. So both possibilities are there. Either we suggest topics, but if the students prefer to work with the chosen topic, so that will get the priority.
And LinkedIn seems to be a good place to make connections.
Exactly. Very good. So Samawira is asking, I already applied for the course. Is it needed to select a program to getting the university scholarship? You mentioned something about this.
You need to look at how you prioritized the courses. I don't know if you've applied for just this program or if you've actually used the 4 slots that you can use. But you need to think carefully about which program you want the most. And if you want to apply for a scholarship to this program, you do need to select that as your number 1. That means if you're admitted to this program, the other 3 will be deleted once you're admitted. So it's not this great scenario where you can be admitted to 4 places and then you make the decision based on where you're admitted. It is it is important that you think of how you rank the programs.
Okay, thank you very much. The follow-up question actually from Abdul, if I say that right. Do you admit someone who ranked the program as second?
Sorry, again?
Do you admit somebody who ranks the program as a second at the
We
university?
do.
admission?
We do, as long as they haven't been admitted to their number one choice.
Yes,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
the way it works. Yeah.
That's the way it works. I mean, it'll be every university. At first, there's a central unit in the country that look for basic requirements to make sure that the kind of general requirements are met, and then each university will assess the general information and the specific requirements, and then in the system, you can see this, and if the number one university has hit it, the others will fall off. But if the first one says no, then the second one, if they had said yes, then you'll be admitted to that one. And if that one says no, and the third one, then you'll be admitted to the third one. So, it kind of goes in the order of how you've applied.
Well, thank you very much. And those were the questions we've received so far. Great to see all those questions coming in, and even better to hear the answers. I will share just the link to the admissions page. I think it might be useful for everybody to leave you at least with the program overview and the application procedure. You can find it there as well, right there. Hopefully that's that way you can check it out at your own pace. So have a look there at information, or if your questions were not answered yet, you can probably find it there. Otherwise, don't worry, the questions will be sent through to the staff of Linköping University. I am sharing also in the chat in a second a link to the student community. So we have actually created a special community for all of you and the people that are still possible watching the webinar later in the recording. You can chat amongst each other and you can help each other out. So maybe there are people from the same country or people that have questions about visas or documents, or even finding housing together. You can maybe help each other in that sense in the student community. So I'm putting the link in the chat, and often students can help each other quite well. So hopefully that is useful. Connect with each other.
Luke,
And
while
go
you
ahead.
mentioned that students can help each other, sign up for housing. Do that as soon as possible, because you get a Q point per day. So the earlier you do that, the better. Have a look at our student accommodation pages. So just I heard you say, talking together.
That was a good addition. Thank you very much. And let's see if we got another question. Yes, we did. Samarawira has a question. Can you explain about the study hours and days? Can we arrange flexible hours, or can you say something about that?
Simply the expectation is 40 hours study per week. And this then will be divided between being in classroom in the lectures, or attending the seminars, or doing the group works, but also doing a lot of self-studies, reading and writing assignments and those things. So in total, what is expected is 40 hours per week. And
But the lectures and the seminars, there'll be set times. And everybody's expected to attend those. Whereas I assume your group work you arrange between you.
Yeah.
Are you on campus every day? Or do you have days where you do group work or self-study as well?
Yeah, I think for some courses you almost come to campus every day, right? But some courses you might have some seminars online, and maybe that you don't need to come to school. And then if you have group work, you can decide to meet either online or physically, depending on you. But I think it depends on the kind of courses. Some courses, from my experience, have been more engaging, while some courses might give you some 1 day away off school where you do your personal study, maybe you do your reflection paper and submit. Or then also maybe getting close to when you need to submit your final term paper, might have like maybe 3 days of school where you take that time to really work on your paper and
Okay.
then meet up with those deadlines.
So you can kind of be, you know, flexible with yourself sometimes how you plan your work, but it's not that you can choose which days you come here. I mean, you know, you have to
Exactly.
fit in with
Yeah.
a set schedule.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, we're at the last question. Abdullah is asking, how relevant can this program be for military personnel?
Yeah.
So-
I would assume that sustainability with, I mean, they use a lot of, I mean, I don't know. I've
So,
never,
Missiles,
exactly. They use a lot of scrap metal.
So, if the question is related, is if there is any environmental or sustainability issue related to military activity,
Yeah.
if that is the question, if I understood it correctly, so handling military waste, for example, is a very important and big issue. But also military activities or firefighters activities, all of those things. For example, in Sweden, we have this issue on when you set up a fire for training and then you need to extinguish it. So the material that have for these practices has been released to the environment. So how to deal with those and what are the problems?
And I'm thinking the whole procurement process within the military, you know, how to source sustainable equipment, both in terms of clothes, but also the parts that you need, and it being very kind of high tech, and you know, a lot of those the pieces in the high technology is mining.
Yeah, I would say that since we are working with resources, then wherever we use and apply those resources, well, then will be relevant. The sustainability and environmental issues. When we are working with the production, for example, industry, whatever production we think, then where the resources is coming from. So the environmental and sustainable development questions will be
exactly.
relevant.
It's very kind of, it covers almost everything in society, really.
It does.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well, we're getting the thumbs up there, so that's good. And yeah, those were the questions we've received. So thank you, everyone. With that, we round off the session. So from my side, I hope you enjoyed the session. We saw a lot of people from different countries dropping in. Thank you very much. I have a last polling question. So I see already most people have answered the pollings that we send out. If you didn't, please do so. Last polling coming up, just to know, right there. How do you feel the session went? So let us know.
You're not at all staring them there. I'd like to say thank you for having joined us. I hope you learned a lot. I have. If you have questions, Q&A box, and you'll get an answer in the future, or the program page. Have a look at the program page, double check that you're aware of everything before applying. And then 2 top tips: Instagram and the blog. They're really, really good sources of information, of things like, you know, what to pack. Is it cold here? We're not gonna go there. We're trying to avoid that question. But you know, those kind of things that you worries or concerns you might have. So have a look at that. Do you have any last final words? Sounds ominous, but do you have anything you'd like to say?
You can start, Joshua.
Okay. Yeah. So I think my final words is just have an idea of your your future career path coming forward. Like the person that asked a question about military, it depends on what you want to do in the military, what kind of impact you want to make. I think you can do your own personal research and see how you can link this program with that. So whatever it's your future career path, having that in mind before coming for the program would also help you to know what sort of resources, although the program is also flexible enough to change your mindset and open you up to new opportunities and perspective.
Now, I just want to also thank you all for joining and for the interest, and hope to see you in Linköping.
Yeah, same. Hope to see you in Linköping. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.